is a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas, and we have wonderful guests. And today I have with me Kimberly Palm. She has written a new book on spirituality and walking with Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. And she has been hearing from them for ever since she was a child. And so she has a fascinating story, and we'll talk a little bit about the book that she has or she's written, and it's out available on online. We have the link. There's a link in the description of this when it's done. So let me bring Kimberly on. Hi, Kimberly.
Hi, Gail. How's it going?
It's going and going. It's great, actually. I'm really happy to have you on. I see that the dot connector just came on, so I'm going to bring her up so she can say hi if she wants to.
Okay.
Otherwise, she pretty much stays in the chat. So hi, Dot. We're happy to have you.
Hi. Sorry I'm late. Welcome, Kimberly. How are you?
Thanks. I'm okay, other than having lots of technology weirdo things going on lately, having issues with technology. I'm
we have been too. It's been a couple of weeks of that straight. So glad to have you.
Boy, can we relate.
Yeah. And I'm not a techie person. I never have been. I didn't learn how to use computers until I was an adult and married and then some. So
same here. Self-taught, a lot of trial and error, mostly error.
Yeah. And that's a lot of us, right?
Yeah.
And we've learned as we go.
Us older crowd.
Over 50 people.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm looking forward to hearing about your new book. This looks really good.
Thank you.
Yes. Fascinating. So let's get started. The name of your book is Walking with Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. Now, why don't you tell our listeners, in case they forgot, about your experience ever since you were a little girl, because I think that's an important part of this.
Yeah. Well, how I was even able to write this book is because I was born, we'll put it this way. I come from a long line of psychic women that go back thousands of years. I mean, my mom was psychic, my grandma was psychic, my great grandma was psychic, and we're born with all these, gifts of clairaudience and clairsentience and clairvoyance and all these different things and prophetic abilities and stuff like that.
All these clairs.
Yeah, all the clairs. Sometimes I see future events that are going to happen. Not all the time, but once in a while I'll see a future event that's going to happen. And then when I was a little girl, I started developing this awesome relationship with Mother Mary. I just felt really connected to her when I was like 2-3 years old. Like I immediately just felt so connected to her and started communicating with her, and then Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, and been communicating with them all since I was like, I don't know, 3-4 years old. I mean, I was very little. I actually read the Bible cover to cover when I was about 4 years old. I was one of those savant kids, I was tested when I was a kid because I was really bored in school, really bored in school. And I had straight A's all the time. And I was too smart for I guess, or whatever. And they put me through testing and said that I had above an adult IQ when I was already 10 years old. So I was already reading when I was like 3-4 years old. I was already reading books cover to cover. And my mom and dad never really promoted the Bible. Like my parents never really read the Bible at all. I don't know if they ever read it, to be honest, but they had a Bible in their house, and I picked it up and I read the whole thing when I was like 4 years old. So I've always had this like strong connection to that story and to Yeshua, and just this really tight bond.
Was it the New
going on.
Testament, or did you read the
No,
whole?
it was
Old
the whole
Testament?
thing. Well, it was the
Because
whole
the Old
thing. Yeah,
Testament
the old and the
is
new.
very violent and very.
Yeah, it was the old. I
I
read
don't
the
like a
old
God
one.
like that.
Yeah, I read the old one, and so I learned about the vengeful God, which is not really the God that I worship. The God they talk about in most of the Bible is Lucifer and Satan, because
Thank you.
this is a God that, yeah, it's a God that destroys cities and kills people and kills your enemy and asks you to sacrifice your child, which is a draconian reptilian thing. Humans, the God of unconditional love who created our soul would never ask us to sacrifice our child. The only being that would ever come to you and tell you to do that would be a demon. God would never tell you to kill your child. And because God doesn't have an ego, God doesn't need you to prove your loyalty to God. That's not a thing. So, but people have been brainwashed. And how I wrote the book was because I'm communicating with them, and also because I walked with them. The reason it's called Walking with Yeshua and Mary Magdalene is because I was there in that time period. I was there. I was one of the first disciples. And I knew, I have memories of that lifetime. And so part of the information in this book comes from my own memories, and part of it comes from me literally sitting and having a conversation with them and asking hundreds of questions, and asking them about it and taking pages and pages of notes. And then they asked me to put their life out there, but they told me not to put it out in the general public. It's only available through a PDF directly through me to the spiritual community, because the information in there is not anything you're going to find on the internet. I mean, a little of it you can find on the internet, some of the history, like the Merovingian kings. I go into the whole bloodline of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene and talk about things. There's some things in there that you can Google and find, but the majority of the information that's in there, you can't find it on the internet, and you can't find it in a textbook anywhere. And the reason why is because the Cabal and the Vatican went out of their way to destroy all that info and make sure nobody ever knew it.
Weren't there something like 700 books that they destroyed?
They destroyed 700 books, and then they took what was left and they rewrote everything, and they added in gematria, black magic, dark magic spells using words. They changed the wording so that people created dark magic on themselves and cursed themselves. And they put in gematria number stuff all throughout the Bible. They use codes, they use numbers, they use all kinds of bad things.
Hold it. When you talk about gematria and codes and things like that in the Bible, there's a lot of people that put a lot of credence on those numbers and on gematria in certain sayings, words, and so on. And so that's all, shall we say baloney?
Yeah.
Or what? Or
no, so gematria is a real thing. They've been using it, but keep in mind that everything in the world is a tool. Like tarot cards are a tool, divination things are a tool, and tools can be used for good or for evil. So gematria has been used for thousands of years for both good and for evil. So the Cabal, when they use gematria, they use it for bad purposes. When I use gematria, I use it for good purposes. So like there's a guy named Tom Numbers who uses gematria. And so when he's doing gematria, he's got a good heart and he's got good intentions. And so he's using a tool for good purposes, like decoding stuff from the Q movement and stuff like that. So he's decoding things using gematria, and he's using it for a benevolent purpose, but you can use gematria for evil. And so anybody who has a brain can go to the website, gematrix.org. So it's GEMATRIX.org. And you can put in the name Jesus, and then you can put in the name Lucifer, and you will see that they changed his name. His name was never Jesus. There's no letter J in the Hebrew alphabet or the Aramaic alphabet or the Italian alphabet. There's no letter J. In fact, in a lot of languages, there's no letter J. And in the English language, they didn't create the letter J until the 1500s.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah. And so they made the name Jesus because its gematria is equal to Lucifer. And it was all about tricking humanity into praying in the name of Lucifer. So all these people who say in Jesus' name over and over, even though they don't know they're doing it, the cabal sitting there going, we got him right in the palm of our hands because they're saying Lucifer over and over again. And then if you put in the name Yesu, Jesu, and you put in Satan into the gematrix calculator, Satan and Yesu, like the song Yesu, Man of Joy is Desiring by Bach, it means Satan. So every time you use those names in prayers or you use it now, what I tell people so they don't freak out, because there's a lot of Christians who freak out and go, oh, I've been praying to Lucifer. No, everything is intention. Everything in the world is your intention. So when your heart is pure and you're praying, and your intention is that you're praying to this guy who died on the cross for you and his, and he's the Christ and blah, 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 then your prayer is going to the right place. And it doesn't matter what the cabal did or didn't do. However, once people know that is not his name, if they continue to pray with the wrong name, then they are putting bad intention. And that is when you're going to have a problem. So if I tell any person out in the world, stop using that name and start using his real name, which is Yeshua, and they continue to pray in the name of Lucifer, Jesus, then they are purposefully knowing with their free will, they are choosing to pray to Lucifer at that point. So people who pray in the name of Yeshua, that's obviously the right name. And if they accidentally slip because they've been brainwashed to say Jesus over and over again, so if they slip and they make a mistake, that is okay. You're not going to go to hell or anything like that. Nothing bad's going to happen to you.
That was one of the great fear campaigns of the religions, wasn't it? You're going to go to hell.
You're going to go to hell, which is a lie. The only beings who go to hell are ones who commit crimes against humanity, people who murder, rape, kill, torture, pillage, sell drugs, people like that. Those are the kind of people. And hell is not a location. It's a consciousness. It's a place that you go to, and it's individual. It's individual for each person, what their hell looks like. It's like an individual punishment based on what they did, who they are, blah, blah, blah. It's not like a location that's like in the middle of the earth and it's burning fire. And that was a story that they created, like Dante's Inferno with the hellfires and the hell. There's no hell place. It's really like a consciousness punishment kind of thing for people who do very bad, dark things. Now, the rest of us humans who just do things like we accidentally swear at our mother, or we even purposely swear at our mother, there's punishment for that, but you don't go to hell for that. You're not going to go to hell for that.
Are you talking your biological mother or Mother Mary?
Oh, no,
or any
your
mother.
Biological mother.
Any mother, okay.
Or both, I guess.
I'm gonna have to talk to my son about that. No,
Yeah.
just kidding. But anyway, someone put up Harry Hankeman put up there. I'm sorry if I didn't say your name right. The Fall of Lucifer by Robert Sefferer. There's an interview with one of the women, Mary Magdalene.
Yeah, that's not possible. That's not possible. So one of the things I talk about in this book is all the people who are walking around saying that they're the descendant of them or that they are them. There's all these crazy pants people, and maybe they're infiltrated, or maybe they had a reading with a fake psychic who told them they were Jesus or told them they were Mary. But there's hundreds of people, hundreds of them walking around going, I'm the descendant, or I am Mary Magdalene, or I am Mother Mary, or I am Jesus. No, they're not, because I talk about this in the book that the three of them are not on the earth and cannot come to earth, or they will be killed instantaneously by the cabal. And I don't want to scare these people who are walking around saying that they're them. But the more you do that, the higher your risk is you're going to be snuffed out. And the reason why is if those beings, any of those beings are the descendants, they've been hunting the bloodline for 2,000 years. They've been trying to hunt them down and kill them. So if you're sitting there bragging about, I'm the descendant of Mary Magdalene, guess what's going to happen to you? Not very smart. Not very smart, because the real descendants of them are hidden. Nobody knows who they are. In fact, they won't even tell me where they are. I asked them, are there descendants? And they said that there are many descendants, but they're not even in the United States. That's number one. So if these people are saying they're a descendant and they're living in the US, that's not true, because the descendants are all in Europe right now. That's what they told me that they're all in Europe. They also will not tell me the exact number of them, other than there's more than 20. I know there's more than 20 of them, but they won't tell me the number, and they won't tell me where they are. Why? Because I wouldn't want the little cabal dudes to show up at my door, pick me up, and torture me to tell them where they are. So I don't know where they are, so I can't answer that question. So I'm being protected by not being told that information. And anybody who walks around saying they're them, the cabal already knows that those people are crazy pants, because if they really were them, that person wouldn't be there telling you about it. They'd be dead. They wouldn't be alive to tell you. So somebody who really is them would have been snuffed out already. In fact, the story of the Terminator, did you all know the movie The Terminator, about John Connor, who's the savior of the human race against the, that is actually the cabal showing you, or Hollywood showing you, what they would do if a woman were to give birth to the second Christ. Okay. So if a woman would actually give birth to another Jesus or a second coming, those guys have time travel capabilities. They can go in and they can kill the mother before that baby's even born. So that is why Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, and Mother Mary are in the other higher dimensions, and they're not coming back here anytime soon. They told me until all of the evil is cleared from planet Earth, they will not return. They said when all the evil is cleared off the planet, they will return. Until then, they can't, because they could get snuffed out in 5 seconds. So it's not worth it for them. And they can't come back in their celestial body because it's at too high of a they vibrate at too high of a frequency to be here now, because our Earth is so dense 3D. They can't be here anyways. We need the vibration and the density consciousness of the planet to go 5D and higher before they can physically be here anyway, because they wouldn't be able to be here. So it's, it's not a possibility. So yeah.
Okay. Someone had said this. I just want to mention it. And I think that was in regard to the one that about people that are related to the Christ bloodline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
there's lots of people who have that Christ bloodline, but they've been, they're in protection. They're in kind of what we call witness protection, and they wouldn't come out and say that they're them. So I'm still not okay with somebody coming out and saying they're them, because even if she says she's in hiding, come on, if the minute you start coming on videos and on channels, they're going to find you. They're going to track you down by your computer location or something and find you. So seriously, I mean, come on, think with your brain, people. Everybody has a brain. Start thinking with your brain. If you're in witness protection, you don't just come out unless you have a death wish and you want to get snuffed out. I mean, it would be like a friend of mine who had the mafia, after her, and she had to run away to some country in South America, and she went into hiding. And you don't come on a video and get interviewed about the fact that the mob is after you unless you have a death wish, unless you want to get, snuffed out. You know what I mean?
Maybe some people are really naive.
Yeah, I mean, people need to start thinking for themselves and understanding that the technology is so advanced. Plus, you've got these entities, these evil, dark entities who are very powerful, who know all kinds of stuff about us and who we are and where we are. And I mean, if you're not really careful, you're out of here. You're going to the next event, next adventure. So you can't do that, which is why my book is not being published to the world right now, because there's too many crazy pants people out there that are radical, indoctrinated people who are going to get angry because they're not ready for the information yet. They're not awake enough to receive the information yet. So my information is going to people who are awake and who are spiritual seekers and who are open-minded. And I don't expect people to believe what I say in my book. And I don't even expect people to believe anything I say. People who resonate with me will resonate with me. And the people who won't. I have no judgment. I only have love, love and neutrality. So if they don't like what I have to say, or they don't believe in what I believe in, that's okay. They're on their own personal journey and they'll figure it out eventually. But, the people who resonate with the information. I've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and I'm not making this up, of messages from people already who've already read the book and said that they fully resonated with it and that it confirmed everything they've already thought their whole lives. They said it pretty much confirmed everything for them that they kind of already knew or were thinking about, or, whatever. So, yeah.
There was something that you had talked about too at one point, and I was going to ask you about, and that was could you give us a little bit of information about the Sisterhood of the Rose?
Oh, thank you. I love that topic. I'm kind of wearing my pink quartz today, which resonates. And then behind me there on the wall, that's what Mary Magdalene actually looked like. She actually looked like that. So the Sisterhood of the Rose was created by Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary, and it's a very high vibrational frequency. And Mary Magdalene had 12 priestesses who she trained after Yeshua went on to the, great beyond. He ascended, basically. When he ascended out of his body and his light body and went to heaven, she created the Sisterhood of the Rose, and she trained all of these 12 women like apostles that she had in her order. And in the higher frequencies, because Mary Magdalene's an ascended master, in the higher frequencies, they still have that Sisterhood of the Rose training. And there's a lot of women on earth who have already been initiated into it. There's probably hundreds of women that are here on earth right now that are part of that have either been initiated in this lifetime in this body into the Sisterhood of the Rose, or they were initiated before they came here. Yeah. But there's hundreds of women all over the world, because I'm not the only one that's here bringing this information, Gail. I'm not like special or anything. There's literally hundreds of people who have returned in physical bodies to restore like the Essene teachings, and all of the Essenes have returned in bodies. I mean, I've been doing readings for people for a long time that are Essenes, and they're all coming to me. There are so many Essenes out there that have returned because we're here to bring the original Christian teachings and the original teachings of Christ back to the earth again. So there's lots of us here, lots of us.
So can we talk a little bit about the Essenes?
Yeah. I have a whole chapter about it in my book.
Okay. Now, just on a dietary note, they're vegetarians, correct?
They were vegetarians, but sometimes they did eat lamb and fish. And the reason why is because sometimes you had celebrations, or
I call that modified vegetarian.
Yeah. Or if you were out
like
traveling.
most of the time, that's what you do. But there are times, it's just like even nowadays.
Right. So think about it. If you were living back then and you didn't have restaurants to go to, and you were traveling, like a lot of these people were traveling all over the earth, and you go somewhere like there's an Essene community in the Vikings. There's a Jewish tribe up there where the Vikings are, and there was Essenes up in the Nordic region, and all they ate was fish and reindeer. Okay. So if you go somewhere like that and there's no vegetables to eat, and there's no fruits to eat because it's frigid cold there all year long, and all they have is reindeer, like the Sami people. Mm-hmm. So the Sami people who live in the northern part of Sweden, Finland, and Norway, the Samis, who are they're like the Native Americans of that area. They're the native indigenous people. All they eat is reindeer. That's all they have to eat. So you can't make them vegetarians or vegan because there's no vegetables to grow there.
Exactly.
Everything is frozen year round, just like the Disney movie Frozen. It's always
we need
frozen.
To get away from the judgment with people about being a
that's all they have to eat
or whatever. And the other aspect of that is everybody is different biologically and genetically and environmentally, and all those factors come into play, especially terrain. So anyway, I don't want to over elaborate on that. However, let's see if there's what are you looking at? Questions?
Yeah, somebody said that American food pyramid is garbage, and look at the Mediterranean guide. And I got to talk about this right now really quick. I just have to. So I just went to Greece, and I ate the food there the whole time. We didn't eat any fast food. There wasn't fast food to eat. We ate freshly prepared, organic, non-GMO fish and vegetables and fruits every day, and some lamb and a little bit of chicken and beef. And I felt the healthiest I felt in my life. And then I come back to America and I feel like crap because all the food here is poisoned in our country. Poison. They dump graphene, they dump fluoride, they dump toxins and GMO and everything into everything here. It's ridiculous. And then their food pyramid is a disaster, total disaster.
It's horrible.
Yeah,
it's
it's
horrible.
absolutely. So whoever made that comment,
and I have a nutrition background.
Up,
I didn't agree.
Love that.
I didn't agree with any of that. And the Mediterranean diet pyramid is very good. It really is.
Yeah.
But so yeah, the Americans have been being poisoned for about at least 2 decades now.
Mm-hmm.
And GMOs are a part of that because they saturate GMOs with Roundup and glyphosate and all of that. And that's, that causes a lot of problems for you. I don't want to get into that too much, but
right.
it's that's why a lot of people will be able to eat pasta and breads and so on overseas, but they come to America.
Oh, I can eat all of that over in Italy, France.
Gastrointestinal issues as a result immediately. That's
Absolutely.
because we need to take our food back.
Absolutely.
The food industry is destroying it with poison.
That's gross.
They use chemicals in other that in this country that are banned in other countries. Just like people, why are you allowing them to continue to fluoridate your water?
Yeah,
they have known for over a decade that it is a neurotoxin, that kind of stuff. Sorry, I'm getting on my soapbox.
Really quick though, I do want to mention that fluoride is banned in 98% of the countries in the world. The U.S. is one of the only countries that does this.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, onward. Let's talk more about the Essenes now. We'll get past that little aspect of the diet.
That's okay. I love talking about diet because I eat a mostly Mediterranean diet myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I love talking about diet.
Well, if you look at all the different pyramids, Mediterranean is one of the best.
Yeah.
Unless they came up with something I haven't seen yet, because I haven't been concentrating in that. But anyway, that's for future time. Now, the Essenes, what was different about, say, the Essenes and Christianity, so to speak?
Okay, so the Essenes were the first Christians. So everything that, I shouldn't say everything that Christ was teaching, but a lot of what he was teaching, he learned from the Essenes. And the Essenes had been practicing those things for thousands of years. They were created, back 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 years ago, and they were teaching the law of one, the Atlantean teachings, the Lemurian teachings. They were teaching about the chakra system. They were teaching the Hindu and Buddhist teachings. They were teaching mainly the Zoroastrian teachings. They did astrology, they did numerology, gematria, all of that was included. And
isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it was all mixed together. But the big thing, Gail, is that the Essenes were famous all over the world for being healers. They were the ones who taught Yeshua how to put his hands on people and heal them. They're the ones who did that because all of the Essenes were trained to do energy healing, or like Qigong kind of energy healing, making the energy ball. Well, the Essenes were started by what's his name? Elijah, the prophet Elijah. They were started by Elijah thousands of years ago. And they were all trained by Melchizedek. I don't know if you know the term. So all of them were all Melchizedek priests. They were all trained in the order of Melchizedek. And so their original training came from Melchizedek and Elijah on how to do all these things, but they incorporated, and then they had Zoroastrian stuff that was kind of the foundings of that. And Zoroastrians were astrologers. They were astrologers. And they were the Magi. That was the Magi. And they also did some healing as well. And they also did stuff with the chakras and a lot of that different stuff. So that was the founding of the Essenes. But the Essenes were not a religion. The Essenes were a spiritual community. And the way that the Essenes community was run and operated is the same as 5D New Earth. It's what we're moving into. So if you want to know a model of what you're going to be in the future, if you stick around here for the 5D New Earth, you're going to be living the Essene lifestyle. That's what everybody's going to be. Everybody's going to be just like them, basically, eventually, because they were doing, the Essene was a 5D community. They were all in fifth density. Okay. They practice unconditional love. They did not judge people. All of the teachings of Christ, like don't judge people, all of these things, be loving, kind, compassionate, forgiving, all the teachings of the Buddha. They taught the same things as the Buddha. Community, Sangha is important. Love, compassion, kindness, forgiveness. All of these teachings are all the teachings that the Essenes had been teaching for thousands of years. And that is where he learned a lot of it. But then he also traveled to Egypt, and he was trained in the ancient Egyptian mystery schools, which, by the way, all of the Essenes were trained in the ancient Egyptian mystery school teachings as well. That's also part of their training. So they kind of brought in a lot of different spiritual practices from all of the original spiritual teachings of the planet Earth. So you had the Atlantean, the Lemurian, the Law of One, which is practiced out in space by all the ETs, all of that. It's kind of like a whole mixture of all that combined into one. That's basically what it was. So, yeah. I can't hear you, Gail.
That's because I muted myself, because there's somebody working outside here that's pounding on something.
Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't want you to hear that. Somebody,
and I don't want to give away the whole chapter, because I have a whole chapter explaining how they lived, what their government was, all of that kind of stuff.
Okay. Well, there's a couple of questions we can throw out there. I didn't want to, change the subject, but I guess we can jump around. Someone was asking, have you ever heard the true name being
Pilatos? That wasn't his name. His soul name, I talk about his names in the book. When he was born, his name was Yeshua ben Pantera. His father was a Greek. His father was descended from Zeus, from the god Zeus. He was Greek. He was a royal. He was actual Greek royal. He was a Roman soldier, but he was born in Greece. His ancestry was Greek, and he was also royalty. He was nobility, his father. And his mother was nobility from the line of King Solomon and King David. And so Yeshua Christ, his name was Yeshua ben Pantera when he was born. His father was killed when his mother was about 3 months pregnant. And then Joseph came forward and married her. His wife had passed away. And in the Essene community, they took care of everybody was taken care of. And so they wouldn't allow a 16-year-old girl, because she was 16 at the time, to be pregnant and not have a husband. So they matched her up with Joseph, whose wife had passed away, and he was like 40 years old. He was much older than her. And he already had like 4 or 5 children, which I talk about in the book, with his other wife. So they became a blended family. And then he was named Yeshua ben Yosef when he was born, because his current father at the time when he was born, his adopted father was, but his original name when he was born was Yeshua ben Pantera. And then his soul name when he's in heaven, his soul name is Sananda. That is his soul name is Sananda. And he's had multiple incarnations on the earth, which I talk about in this book. And he's had different names in those incarnations. Each time,
who are you talking about now?
Huh?
Who has these incarnations?
Yeshua.
Okay,
Yeshua. He was here before he was the Christ, before he was Yeshua ben Yosef. He was here, and he might have had a name of Thelos or whatever that name was. He might have had some other name. I don't know what his names were in those lives, because it wasn't important to me at the time I was writing the book. But I know that his soul name was Sananda. When he's not on the earth, his soul name is Sananda. And then when he was in the Christ body, it was Yeshua ben Yosef. But he was also called Isa. ISSA was a nickname that they called him in the Essene community, was Isa.
Oh, wow. So, I heard that. That's interesting. I didn't know they called him that, but
they called him Isa. Isa was his nickname with his family. It was his nickname with his friends. It was his nickname with the apostles. The apostles called him Isa. Pretty much.
Here's a question for you, because the same thing, I had the same thought that Dot Connector did, because I've heard that Sananda was affiliated with possibly negative ETs or Ashtar Command or something like that.
That's actually true. Okay, so there's truth in that. All right. So you have to be careful who you're speaking to, because there are dark beings who are posing as other people. So you have fake Archangel Michaels, fake Metatrons, fake Melchizedeks, fake Sanandas, because they can holographically project themselves as whoever they want. So you can get a gray, a Nebu gray ET or a reptilian ET who can project themselves to appear as Sananda and say, hi, I'm Sananda. Or they can be like an Ashtar guy and say, hi, I'm Sananda. And it's not really them. They're like projecting. It's a holographic projection to trick people, to con people. So that's where discernment comes in. That's where you have to learn discernment so that you know if the being that you're talking to is the real Sananda or the false light Sananda. That's the fake one. Very important to learn how to discern, because my whole life I've been able to discern, where's the message coming from? Is it dark infiltrated or is it light? Where is it coming from? And that's one of the biggest things I teach all my clients is how to discern. Is it of the dark or is it of the light? It's so important to have that skill nowadays with all the lies out there. There's a lot of lies.
And it's like Soul is saying here, it makes it easy and confusing when they make duplicates, and they're doing that now with other people.
I agree 100% with that comment. It's easy and confusing, and they do the duplicates. And this is becoming, oh my God, I got to tell you all, I've had so many clients who went into meditation and they had the false ones coming to them and pretending to be so-and-so, and they got infiltrated. Why did they get infiltrated? Because they weren't grounding, centering, and protecting themselves properly before they meditated, which is I'm a certified meditation instructor. And the biggest thing I teach people is protect, 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 protect. You don't want to be infiltrated in your meditation. I've had reptilians try to infiltrate my meditations. I've had grays. I've had all of these beings.
How do you tell?
How do you tell? Well, that's what I have.
No,
yeah,
I mean,
you can tell.
Energy.
You can feel it. I teach people all the different tools to like feel the energy, see the energy, hear the energy, so that you know the difference. I mean, it's a whole process, but it can be done because I've been having to do it my whole life. You have to weed out the good from the bad, basically. That's what it's all about, is weeding it out.
Somebody here was asking, do we know the different characters of his other incarnations, Yeshua?
Yeah, they're in the book. So one of them was in ancient Greece about 6,000, I think it was, years ago, or 4,000. I can't remember. It was like 4,000 or 6,000 years ago. And one of them was the Zoroastrian Magi. So I've had a lot of people. There was a woman who went on some channel and was blabbing about, I don't understand why Magi would come and visit him. What's the purpose of that? And it's like, well, I can tell you why, because he was one of them and they knew he was coming. They already knew he was coming. They had a whole prophetic plan and knew he was coming. So one of his incarnations was in, I put it in the book. It was one of those countries. It was like, what was it? Was it Persia? It wasn't Persia. It was like Qatar or somewhere like that. He had an incarnation as a Zoroastrian Magi. And I get the countries mixed up. So you guys will read it in the book because that's the correct country, but I always forget. My memory's not the best. But Dead Sea Scrolls were produced by the Essenes. Vatican tried to, yes, I actually talk about the Dead Sea Scrolls in the book and I tell the whole truth about that. But yes, the Essenes wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls. However, the Vatican, none of these people that are showing you the Dead Sea Scrolls, when they show them on the internet and on TV, those are not the real Dead Sea Scrolls. So I tell you where they are in the book. You need to read about that because it's very important. But a lot of stuff has been taken by the cabal. Let's just put it that way. So it's really important, though, for people to understand that, he's been here before. Part of why he was able to be the Christ and ascend the way he did is because he had those other lifetimes here where he was able to do really great things.
He had a chance to practice.
Yeah, he had a chance to practice. And the Knights Templar has, yes, absolutely. Who said that, Todd?
Wait a second.
Oh my God. I got to tell you all, I'm so obsessed with the Knight Templar, like studying their whole thing and what they did. They were protecting the bloodline of Christ.
Let me
but they
find
were
them for
also,
you
they also know the whole truth about Mary Magdalene, and they were followers of Mary Magdalene. The Templars revered Mary Magdalene, and the Cathars were the first order that was like an homage to Mary Magdalene down in the southern part of France. And I'm actually making a pilgrimage down there sometime soon to go see all of the Cathar fortresses and towns that were they were all murdered by the Catholic Church. The church went in there with their armies, and they basically murdered hundreds of thousands of women and children and babies and men too that were Cathars. Yeah, the Vatican, because the Cathars knew all of the true Christian teachings that were handed down from the Essenes, and they revered Mary Magdalene, and the church was trying to obliterate all information about Mary Magdalene and who she was. And so they just murdered all the Cathars.
Yeah. They certainly wanted to discredit her by calling her a prostitute.
Yeah, which she never was. I tell her whole story in this book, and she never was. She was very wealthy, very wealthy. Never a prostitute. They made up so many lies about her because they don't want to acknowledge the fact that her and Christ were twin flames and they were married and had a bloodline of children. So
someone says they lived 700 years after his resurrection. That's a long time. That's a long time. I don't know if they could live that long, but
no,
not that long.
Not true, but that's okay. Whatever.
But they were married,
like I said, my info is coming from being there with them and being with her and being with him. And, I mean, my memories and not just, and I want to tell everybody too, I want to explain this, that I am in contact with hundreds of other people who were all there with me at that time. And we have all collaborated on or corroborated all of my ideas. Okay. So there are hundreds of other people here who have the same memories that I have. Exactly. That I've been able to go to and say, what do you know about this? What did you see when he was put up on the cross? What information do you have? And they have the same information that I have as far as the memories go. And we're able to sit and compare notes. So if people want to say, oh, well, she's just making this up, it's like, okay, go talk to all the other people I know, because several of my friends were all there with me and they all know the same information I know and they all remember it. And there's hundreds of other people that are here that know that same information. So, there you go. Anyways.
All right. Somebody just made mention of the fact that we also have
a false Knight Templar. Yes. Well, I don't know if it's a false Knight Templar. It's it got infiltrated just like everything else, and there were some bad ones. There were bad factions of the Knight Templar. There were bad ones and good ones back then. And to this day, I mean, there are, because there's still Knight Templars out there that are protecting the bloodline of Christ, and you don't know who they are because they remain very hidden. But they're very protected and very hidden. There are still Knight Templars that are out there even today. But every single one of these groups have all been infiltrated throughout history, because even the Freemasons, when they were in their origin stage, when they originally started, were not bad, and they were infiltrated by the cabal just like everything else. Everything has been corrupted and decimated and destroyed by these cabal assholes. Excuse my language. Anyway,
it is what it is. Sometimes you call them like you see them.
Yeah. So they've destroyed everything. They've infiltrated everything. There's bad. I agree with Soul's Wild Hair. There's good and bad in everything. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. The other thing is the
dark and light.
Somebody talked about the books were like 4 feet tall. Do you know about that? Anything about those books?
The original Bible probably was. The original one before the Vatican took it and burned it. It was probably about 4 feet tall. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
I never heard that one before. That's interesting.
Well, was it that might be somebody giants? Who remembers.
Did that have anything to do with giants?
No. Oh, giants weren't involved in any of this religious stuff at all. I know everybody's all obsessed about giants these days, but they didn't have anything to do with the religious and spiritual stuff at all. That's a whole different story for another.
Yeah, here's another story. It's Mary's name was Miriam, and Magdala, a daughter of a rich merchant. Now, I heard, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard that Mary Magdalene pretty much was the financial support of the family of Yeshua and her. And
not always. His uncle Joseph of Arimathea was one of the richest men in the world, and he was actually the one providing money. But she also provided money for all of the how do you want to say, the disciplehood for all of the community to be able to go out and spread the information. She definitely financed a lot of it, but her name was Miriam. I talk about that in the book, by the way. I talk about their real names in the book, and it was Miriam, not Mary. And that is true. So, and she was a daughter of a rich merchant. That is true. 100%. Absolutely.
So what about the story of he was born in a manger?
He wasn't born in the manger. I mean, his mom wasn't like laying in the manger when she pushed him out of her,
that's not what I meant,
of her parts. But they did lay him in a manger and swaddling clothes. That part is true. But I do go into details in the book.
But that was because they were on the run at the time, weren't they? Or they were?
No, they weren't actually on the run. They weren't on the run until
it?
after he was born. And then they had to run off to Egypt. They actually ran off to Egypt after he was born, because Herod was trying to find him and kill him. But yeah, he was born in a stable, but the stable was not like in a cave, and it wasn't in like a wooden building. It was actually the first floor. So how the buildings were built in that town back in that time period is the humans would live on the top floor of the building, and the bottom floor of the building was the stable. So the underneath part of the building was the stable, and that's where they were staying when he was born. But they went to that town because it was what do they call that, where they have to count all of the people in each city? What do you call that? What is that called? The census. Yeah. So they actually went to Bethlehem they were actually in Nazareth. They were in Nazareth, but they had to leave Nazareth and go to Bethlehem to be counted for the census. And she went into labor when they got there and gave birth to Yeshua. And then they did eventually wind up going back to Nazareth again for a very short time, because then they found out when they got back to Nazareth that they were being hunted. And when they found out they were being hunted, they amscrayed off to Egypt. They went off to Egypt. So, yep.
Okay, someone is mentioning, and we did talk about this earlier, Monica, about in gematria, it is Jesus is Lucifer. So now that you know that, you call him Yeshua, not Jesus. Jesus doesn't like that anyway.
Yeah, he doesn't. When he came to me the very first time and started telling me, well, I shouldn't say the first time. When I was a kid, he didn't really, I just knew who he was. He didn't have to introduce himself. But as an adult, when he came back to me in recent years, and I'm talking in the last 15 years, he basically said he doesn't like being called that. That's not his name. He said, that's not my name. I don't like to be called that. But he said, he also assured me that the people who have good intention, who are praying to that name, that he listens to them. He honors that. He said, I honor their prayers, but I do not like to be called that name. That is not my name. And so once people know that, they need to stop it as best as they can. And you're going to have a habit of calling him that. So it's going to take you a while to stop calling him that. Don't beat yourself up. Don't judge yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. Just love yourself unconditionally the way Yeshua loves you, and just try to say his name. You can either say Yeshua or Yeshua. Some people say Yeshua, and that's fine. The actual Hebrew pronunciation is Yeshua. That is how you say it in Hebrew.
Yeshua.
But Yeshua is how you say it in Hebrew. But if you want to say Yeshua, that is fine too. I find that most people, that's how they have to pronounce it. So, but it doesn't really matter. It's your intention. People need to start understanding that our mind is really powerful, and everything is all about your intention. If you have a good heart and you have good intention, that's all that matters. You know,
yes. Someone asking, what is the name of God the Father?
Well, first of all, there is no God the Father. God is I am that I am. And I refer to God when I pray as Mother, Father, Prime Creator, because there are many gods. In fact, one time Yeshua has a very good sense of humor, and he was saying to me because I accidentally prayed and I said, "Dear God," and he's like, "Which God are you praying to, Kimberly?" And I'm like,
I love
"What?"
it.
And he's like, he said, "You and I both know that there are hundreds of gods. You've got Zeus and you've got Apollo and you've got even Satan and Lucifer. All of these are all demigods, right?"
Right.
So the prime creator, what I like to pray to is that energy and frequency that made my soul, because the energy that made my soul that I'm connected to 24/7 is the real creator, but it isn't woman and it's not man. It's everything. It is I am.
Yeah,
It's
that's why
everything.
I call,
Yeah.
see how we've been so
Yeah.
brainwashed and so,
Yeah.
we call him, and people have this idea of this man up in the sky with this long beard, and that's just not the case. And
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody said, "Aren't we taught that you say the name Jesus Christ and demons run scared?" They lied to you, because who do you think the church worships, really? The demonic. I mean, why do you think they sacrifice babies for hundreds of years under the Vatican and in the Vatican, and they molest children and they do all the disgusting things they do? Because they worship demons and Satan. So of course they want you saying in Jesus' name, because the demons love that, because Jesus is the same
He's
gematria
Lucifer.
as Lucifer. So if you want to pray powerfully in the name, you say in the name of Yeshua or Yeshua.
Yeshua.
Yeah, exactly. That's how
Okay.
you pray powerfully, is you say in the name of Yeshua. Or one other thing is you can just say simply Christ, because he is the Christ. He was the Christ. He's a Christed being. So you can say in the name of the Christ, or the Christos, as they say in Greek, which was the first Bible was written, translated from all of the Hebrew scrolls into Greek. When they wrote the actual Bible, the first Bible, it was Greek. And his name was Iesus, Iessus. So you could also pray to him as Iesus, which is the Greek form. That's just the Greek form of Yeshua. And that's perfectly fine. It doesn't have evil gematria to it. So if you want to call him Iesus, you can call him that. It's really, pretty simple.
Just try to stay away from Jesus.
Yeah, stay away from Jesus, because you're seeing Lucifer over and over and over again. How is saying Lucifer going to scare away demons? Lucifer is a demon. He's like the chief demon. It's like, seriously?
This is the head demon here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. There was something else I wanted to ask you, and I lost my train of thought.
Oh, Soul's Wild
it's
Hair
best.
said Amen is Amen Ra. Actually, that is a psyop, by the way, everybody. The Amen is a psyop. It's not Amen Ra. Okay, so I read, write, and speak Hebrew for all of you people who don't know me. Amen, and it's pronounced Amen when you're saying it properly in the Hebrew form, because Amen is a Hebrew word, just for everybody in America who doesn't get this. Amen is a Hebrew name, and Amen means so be it. It means so be it. And that name was around way before people were praying to Amun Ra. And Amun Ra's name is Amun, and it's pronounced Amun, not Amen. Two different pronunciations, two different words, two totally different things. Totally different things. People are spreading a psyop of don't say Amen, because they want to just destroy everything. They want to destroy your praying. They want to destroy your life. They want to destroy everything. So they will do psyop after psyop that they can to destroy
What
you.
if they just pay so it is, or
you can say and so it is. When I pray, I say and so it is, or so be it. I sometimes say Amen, but I usually say and so it is.
And so it is. Yeah, I've been trying to get in the habit of saying so it is, and so it is. There's another one too. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's on the order of so it is. But it's. I wanted to say if it's a little bit less confusing to people if I read the question and then you give your answer.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Unless but you might see something that I didn't see.
Yeah, I'm trying to answer people's questions over here too. So
yeah, well, that's why I love. Yeah,
I want to help everybody. That's just who I am. It's like, how many people can I help today? I just want to help everybody.
and Soul is making this comment. It's very hard for the programmed religious people to
absolutely
step outside of that prison of their mind that they've been put in.
Yeah. Hopefully people couldn't hear my fan I had going here. I actually have the sun shining right on my face and I'm sweating my butt off right now.
Okay, Thomas Dot Stringer and Mama Gail. What? I don't know what that means, but okay. Okay, we have somebody that said Christos
is an
either way
office.
is an office.
Yes.
Have you?
It's the office of the Christ. So just so you understand, everybody, Christ consciousness, there's a whole bunch of beings who belong to that. Buddha is a Christed being. Maitreya is a Christed being. Serapis Bey. What's the other guy? I'm trying to think of all the names of all the guys. Sanat Kumara is a Christed being. I think it's Babaji or somebody like that.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of ancient Hindu people who are all part of the Christ. They're all part of the office of the Christ. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a consciousness. Christ is a consciousness. It's the highest consciousness you could achieve as a being in space is the Christ consciousness level. It's the highest consciousness level.
That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah. We all aspire to be the Christ consciousness. Every human, we aspire to be the Christ consciousness.
Here's a question I haven't. Okay, can you talk about the specific purposes of frankincense? That is a resin that was given to Yeshua by the three wise men. Why do you? What do you do with frankincense resin incense?
Yeah, I talk about that a little. I talk about that in the book. I talk about it, but I love frankincense. Absolutely love it. Frankincense is an oil and resin that has literally the highest vibrational frequency of any plant or oil or resin on planet Earth. Myrrh as well. Those are the two highest vibrational essential oils on the earth, and they were priceless back then. Only really wealthy people could buy them. So what they brought him when he was born, the Magi brought him gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Why? Because he was a king. He was the king of the Jews. He was royalty on his mother's side and his father's side. And the Magi, the Zoroastrian Magi who came to see him, they knew who he was and what he was. And they were also very wealthy, these Magi. They had lots of money. And so they brought him the most expensive, coveted gifts on planet Earth, which were frankincense, myrrh, and gold. And to this day, frankincense is used to heal your body. I use the oil externally. I use it on my skin. It gets rid of, I had this weird thing on my face one time, and I used frankincense oil on it, and it went away. It's extremely healing, and I use it when I meditate. If you burn frankincense resin, when you meditate, you can have some pretty out of body cool experience, really, really cool kind of metaphysical experiences. The same with myrrh. If you use frankincense and myrrh when you meditate, it takes your meditation to a whole other level. And it was literally the most priceless thing back then. So and it gets rid of arthritis pain and joint pain. Amazing for that.
Yeah, I use the essential oil. Mm-hmm. And I thought that that rose was actually the highest frequency. But anyway, let's move on. Moving right along. Do you have any information about Trump and the white hats from Yeshua?
He talks to me about him from time to time, and then he tells me to keep my nose out of it. A lot of times he tells me to not, because I'm not here. That's not part of my mission. I'm here to bring back the Essene teachings and the original teachings of Christ, and to help people, because I have my book Ascension 101. I'm here as an ascension guide and to help people ascend and to teach them about Christ. So I try to they told me to keep my nose out of the politics, but he does give me updates from time to time and explain, like if I ask a question, like what's going on with this, what's going on with that, I'll get like a direct answer. But then they tell me, stop paying attention to that. You need to focus on the spiritual, helping people get their spirit into 5D, helping people get their spirituality, on the right track. That's
really, why I put the title here. Spirituality matters.
Yeah. It's important, because the white hats, that's all just kind of political stuff. All I can tell you about them is they're real. They're good. They've already liberated most of the tunnels. I think there's a little small, last time I checked in with Yeshua, he said there was like maybe 5 to 10% that were left over that were in hiding. And he even told me where they are, Gail. He told me that they're hiding under Geneva, Switzerland. under Switzerland. Under there, they have underground cities under Switzerland, and also under Germany, like parts of
Who's
Germany.
hiding there?
The
Who did you say?
cabal.
Oh,
The cabal,
yeah.
like the top cheeses, the really bad guys that are in hiding, the really, really bad ones that they need to take down. They're in hiding. A bunch of them are in Germany and a bunch of them are in Switzerland. And I think some in Austria, but he told me that they've gotten last time I asked, I haven't asked about it for a couple months at least, because I've been too busy to worry about it. But last time I asked, he said they had taken care of 90% of the underground tunnels. That's what 90%. He told me. Yeah, that was last time, but it's been a couple of months or more, because it's just not important to me. And let me tell you why. It's not that it's not important. It's very important. It's not important for me and the work I'm doing. And I have been assured that everything is being taken care of behind the scenes. Like, these guys are cleaning house and they're doing their job, and they
really are doing what they say they're
doing. They're doing what they're supposed to do.
Alternative news media, anyway.
Exactly. They're doing what they said they were going to do. It's happening. The last thing that needs to happen, though, is the mainstream media has to go down. It has to go down, because until that goes down, everybody's going to still be programmed and brainwashed to believe the whole narrative. So that has to go down. Yeah. I don't know when it's going to go down. I'm hoping it's like today.
Don't we all?
Yeah. I don't know when.
Yeah. We've been waiting a long time, it seems. Hi, Jenny Lee. I guess Jenny's in the audience. So let me see what else we got going on here. Yeah, it's Jenny from the previous guest yesterday. Yeah. That was a very good video too. Let's see. Here's one. Everybody is waiting for Sananda to give the orders to go. Sananda?
I don't think he's not the head of that. The beings who are working on all that stuff are the Alliance. And that is a mixture of high-level extraterrestrials working with our military that is doing that. They're the ones there's generals up at the top that are the ones giving the orders. Sananda is not the one giving the orders. He's giving orders for the spiritual realm. You have to understand, he's not in charge of militaries and stuff like that. Now, I will tell you who is in charge of militaries. Archangel Michael is in charge of the angel militia. So you've got him giving orders to the angel armies to do specific things and take down demonic entities and stuff like that. But Yeshua is more concerned with people's spiritual aspect. He's more worried about us ascending. Him and Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene, Miriam of Magdala, are really, really focusing in on the spiritual aspect of our ascension. They don't really care about the politics of Earth. They're really not getting involved with that. Why? Because there are really high-level extraterrestrials that are involved with that are helping us. We've got the Council of Nine, which are super high level beings that are like 12 density or something. I mean, they're very, very high density beings that are overseeing all of this stuff that's going on with the Earth right now. And they're the ones in charge of all that. Not Yeshua. He's not, and Sananda. He's not in charge of that. He's really concerned. He's like the spiritual patron of Earth. He's like the spiritual guardian of Earth. He's concerned with getting your soul connected back to Mother, Father, Creator. That's what he's concerned with. He's concerned with your relationship with the Mother, Father, Creator that made us. That is what he's concerned about. He's not into the politics and into the armies and into all that.
All that comes and goes, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Our spirit.
Your soul is eternal. Forever. It goes on forever. Yeah. All the other stuff is just temporary baloney. It's all temporary baloney. What only matters is your spirit and your connection to source. That's it. And love. Love is what matters the most.
Okay. Do you know anything about this, Kimberly? It says someone heard that the Creator extended time to allow for conversion of the actual Jews to come to source.
Okay. First of all, every single person on this earth is connected to source 24/7. Your soul is always connected to source.
That's if they have a soul.
Yeah, if they have a soul. Now there's as Jenny Lee and I have talked about many times before, you have a whole bunch of these non-player characters and these like bots or whatever that are, they're empty, they don't have a soul. We're not talking about them. We're talking about the human beings that are on planet Earth who actually have a soul. That soul is always connected to source. It doesn't matter. You guys have to stop thinking about this Jew, Christian, Islam, blah, blah, blah. I talk about this in my book. Those three religions were created to control humanity.
Yeah.
The religion has nothing to do with it. There's already lots of Jews who are already awake. If you're talking about waking up the Jews, you got to be kidding me. Look at Dr. What's his name, who passed away recently, Zelenko. He was wide awake. The whole community, all of the really spiritual Jews, the ones who are actually spiritual, like Guru, what's his name in New York? There's the Guru who works with that, with Gail of Gaia. They're Jewish. They're wide awake. There's a huge percentage of the Jewish community that's wide awake. I counsel clients in Israel all the time.
I hope it wasn't that Sadhguru.
No, this guy isn't Sadhguru. This guy is like a rabbi.
Bad.
No, that's an Indian guy. I'm talking about a Jewish rabbi guy who's, who's a Jew.
I didn't know what he was, but I just know that he's
Sadhguru is an Indian. He's an Indian guy. No,
he's also on the dark side.
Yeah. Oh, he is. The Sadhguru is he's part of the pedo community. But anyways, we're not going to even go there.
Yeah.
The thing is that, or at least he's put it this way, he's hanging out with people who are known perpetrators like Epstein, and he's taken lots of pictures with Epstein.
Klaus Schwab too.
Yeah, he hangs out with all of those guys, the New World Order guys, and all of that kind of
Someone
thing.
has mentioned too that we found Astro Command is not good, but I don't know if there's two. There's a good one.
So there's gray ETs. There's really bad ETs that are holographically pretending to be Astar Command. And then there's Astar Command that's an actual entity, but they don't communicate with humans at all. They're just a militia that's out there in space fighting crap. Okay. They don't have conversations with human beings. So now there's one exception. There are people in physical bodies that are the Astar that can communicate with them. Okay. So there's a guy named, is his name Alex Rodriguez? I can't remember his name. I'm on his YouTube he has the 144 Club. Do you know who that guy is? He's got the 144 Club. He's got, anyways, he's part of Astar Command. There's a bunch of those people that are on Earth that are in a body that are part of the real one, of the real Astar, the real militia, and they're able to communicate with their ships and have conversations and stuff like that. But the rest of humans, no, they don't just talk to humans. The only humans they would talk to are the ones that are part of their group, their consortium. So there's a false light one, which is the ones pretending to be them and communicating with people and saying they're them, and they're not them. So,
okay. Somebody is talking. Oh, this is Dot Connector saying something about. We talked a little bit about Archangel Michael. Nice spelling there. Has been taking a lot of shots, being played as a negative in the alternative media. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, I have a huge statue of Michael. So when I'm not in my physical form, I'm a 12th density guardian angel to people. I protect people. I leave at night and I go and I save kids from trafficking. I save teenagers. I save women from being raped and murdered and all kinds of stuff. I'm a guardian angel. So I take orders from Archangel Michael, and there are two Michaels. There's the false light Michael and there's the real Michael. And the real Michael is the one who's he's the protector of Earth. If he didn't exist, we'd all be dead, just so you all know. If Archangel Michael didn't exist, I would be dead, you would be dead, we'd all be dead. Okay. But there is a false one that is a holographic image. Again, it's not that there's a one. It's not that there's two of each of these beings. You guys have to understand. These are ETs who are shapeshifters who can make themselves look like anything. The Draco can shapeshift into any person they want. One minute they can be the president of the United States. The next minute they could be your doctor. The next minute they could be your neighbor. They can shapeshift into anybody or anything. They can shapeshift into your dog. They can shapeshift into anything they want to. So they can make themselves look like Michael and come to you anytime they want. And there you go. So it's not that there's two of each of these people. It's that there's these nefarious negative extraterrestrials who are able to either use a holographic image, or they're able to mind control you, or they're able to shapeshift. So that's what people have to look out for. You have to protect yourself.
Okay. I'm just checking here to see if there's any other good questions we've missed or we haven't answered already.
Yeah, I'm reading.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Thomas mentioned that the 144 club that you talked about, and I'm going to have to look it up because not sure if it doesn't ring a bell. I know there's 144.
Yeah, the 144 club. I love that guy. He's a really good. I want to. Gosh darn it! I want to say his name is Rodriguez, but
no, somebody shapeshifts in front of you.
Go look it up.
Okay. While you're looking up, I'm going to ask you.
144 club. My group creators. Oh, Andy Moreno. Yeah. So the guy who whoever it is, maybe that's his name, or maybe it was Morales. I don't know. But the thing is that there's this guy who he's actually Astar.
Mike Morales. Is it Michael Morales? Or is
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I have a hard time listening to it if it's him, but anyway.
Yeah.
It could be somebody else.
There's so many of these people that have YouTube channels that I just get confused because there's too many.
There are a lot. Yeah.
Way too many.
Somebody's asking.
I have a human brain right now, unfortunately.
Does Michael live by Banff near Lake Louise, Canada?
Okay, so let me talk about this. Archangel Michael has a retreat in Lake Louise, near Banff, Lake Louise, up in British Columbia. Archangel Michael has a retreat there in the higher dimensions. That is true.
I'll bet you that's a surprise to people.
Yeah, and Archangel Raphael's retreat is on the island of Crete, where I went. That was why I went to Greece. I went to Greece so I could get some healing, and I went to the island of Crete. I stayed in the island of Crete in a house for a week because I wanted to connect to the energy of Archangel Raphael, which means God who heals, because Raphael is the healing angel, and that his retreat is on the island of Crete down in Greece. So in the higher dimensions, higher densities. So
wow.
Yeah. Yep.
I wish I could do that. That would be fun. Interesting. Yep. Okay. Let me see if I have any other questions here. It looks like we kind of ran out of some of the question.
Somebody's asking about Mount Shasta. Mount Shasta used to be a really good place, but the negative ETs have destroyed all the energy there, and they've done a lot of destruction there. They've done a lot of bad stuff there. So,
really? Yeah. Okay, it's Anthony Morales.
Yeah.
Baja Girl had a reading from Anthony Morales.
Yeah, Anthony Morales. Yeah, if he's the one who
that's a different
supposedly Ashtar. He's part of Ashtar Command. So people who are embodied physically in human bodies, who have their body in a stasis pod on their Ashtar ship, they came here to be boots on the ground. Because you know about this, don't you, Gail, that a lot of us starseeds, there's a lot of starseeds that are here, that their physical bodies actually up on a ship right now, and that their consciousness came into a human avatar so that we can take the planet back.
Yes.
Yeah. People need to understand that.
That's
important.
That's a tough one. hard for people to wrap around. Again, that's where religion has come in and said there's no such thing as an ET. There's no such thing as ships up there. None of that is real. So,
yeah, somebody asked, they thought Raphael lived in Fatima, Portugal. No, Fatima, Portugal is a place where there were miracles. That's where the three children had Mother Mary appear. Mother Mary appeared to those three children, and by the way, the third secret that the eldest daughter whispered into the ear of the Pope, the eldest daughter whispered 3 secrets that Mother Mary told her. 2 of them already happened. One of them was World War I, the other was World War II, and then the third one was the destruction of the Catholic Church. Whispered it into the ear of the Pope. Yeah. Anyways, which is happening right now. Yay.
Yay.
because
Yeah,
I
that's
was
it.
a Catholic. I was a Catholic, and then I found out about all the horrific, disgusting. And I was a devout Catholic. Okay, I was saying rosaries like every day, and I mean, I was very into it. And I found out the truth, and that was it. I was out of there.
Yeah. I remember when I first found out the truth about
Yeah.
Yeshua and so on, and I'm
Yeah.
sitting there going, "Oh my God, what if I?" Okay, this brings the idea about dying for our sins. Like, well, if I stop believing them and I don't, this did happen, then what am I going to do if it will? I mean, this whole scenario you go through your head. Should I just believe anyway? But I know it's not. It seems like it's not true or whatever. But anyway, maybe you could explain a little bit about that, if you know
About
what I mean.
what not being true?
About Yeshua. Well, dying for our sins. If you don't mind.
That, oh my God, I have a whole chapter talking about that. So I don't know how to paraphrase it into a sentence. All I can say is no, he didn't die for your sins, but you really need to read the book because there's so much information about the what, why, and how of what went on, why they say that. Like there's a lot of reasons, Gail, why they said that. And I talk all about that, but let's just say that the first church was a big business and it still is a big business. And you would have to pay. If they say that, oh, you're a sinner, they make up this whole story about, oh, you're a sinner and you have to pay us to absolve you of your sins. It's a big business. Okay. So in order to be forgiven for your sins, you have to have this priest do this stuff to you. And in order to do that, you have to give them money. And if you don't have money back then, you would give them land. And if you didn't have land, you would give them part of your field, like your food from your fields and crops. And if you didn't have that, you had to give them your firstborn child. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah. You had to give them one of your children.
That sounds like cabal.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so they made up this whole story of, oh, everybody's a sinner. Yeah, no, that's not true. And I have a huge chapter or two things where I explain all of how they did that, why they did it. But you have to read it because I can't paraphrase it. It's just impossible. I mean, there's so much nefarious stuff behind that whole story. It's just awful.
Unbelievable. I'm sure.
And I like who's that? Harry said we could make churches into real sanctuaries. I love that. I think
for
that's
healing
great.
knowledge and a health kitchen.
I love that idea. Love it. Yeah. And synagogues and mosques too. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Because the three major religions, I talk about that in the book, and I talk about the Bible. I talk about the first church. I talk about the cross. There's a lot of bad stuff about the cross that I talk about in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. All kinds of stuff. So.
And how frequently a lot of the cabal members wear upside down crosses.
Yep.
Yeah. Someone has a feeling that I was Anne, the mother of John the Baptist, in a past life. Could that be true?
Well, let me tune into her.
Oh, where'd she go? Oops, I didn't make it to take
What's
it
her?
down.
That was Dot Connector. What's her first name?
Christine. Was that from me? Wait a minute, Christine. Was that from you?
Yeah.
I mean, that question was your question? Here, I found it again. It says JFI. Have the feeling I'm not sure who was meant there, actually.
JF. I have the feeling that I was.
JF. Who's JF? I don't.
Yeah.
That connector may have been putting up a question that was in the Rumble, because only YouTube questions come.
Okay, her name is Judith Ann. Let me tune into her. I'm going to tune into her energy and see if I can figure this out. I'm going to ask for help here. Okay, Yeshua, Mary Magdalene. Was Judith Ann the mother of John the Baptist in a past lifetime? Was she Ann, the mother of John the Baptist? Oh my goodness. And then the sun just started shining so bright on me right
know.
then. Yes, you were. Yes, you were.
Oh my
God. Yes, this is true.
Yeah, look at how all of a sudden you got.
And the sun, do you see my face? It's because the sun because it's cloudy. So the clouds, we have fog, like really dense fog down to the ground, but the sun is outside the window, and it just started just radiating on me.
Oh, this is a good question, Kimberly. This is one I hear all. What about when people talk about covering you with the blood of Jesus right now?
Yeah.
after
So
hearing
when
this?
you read my book, you're going to freak out because the whole thing about the blood of Jesus is all Luciferian sacrificing stuff.
That's what I was afraid of. And I've even told
Yeah.
people, I have a friend who says, oh, cover it in the blood of Jesus. I said, I don't want to cover it in any blood. You know?
Yeah, your word is your
No.
bond. You don't need anybody's blood on you. The blood thing is all reptilian. Everything that's involving blood is reptilian. Just put it. That's the way. I have a way more huge explanation in the book about that whole thing and the Eucharist and all that. I go into deep, deep detail, but keep in mind that that's that's all in there. So just
And I'd like to let people know, I mean, I've had a chance to just really quickly look over the book. It's only 150 pages. It's an easy read, and
really easy
it's
read.
very inexpensive as well. And it really does explain things in much greater detail than what we're able to do on a show. So, and
back.
Oh, sorry.
My back is really, really hurting. I'm gonna have to go because I can't sit for really long periods of time. I have a lot of back issues, and it's really starting to go on me. And I also have an appointment in a few minutes I've got to go to. So
okay. Well, yeah, I usually only go for an hour and a half at the most. So that's fine, no problem. And
so they want to know where they can find my book.
It'll be in the description
Yeah.
of the video. I have put it there. So when this video replays, it will be you'll be able to get it then.
I have important things to say about that, though, that people need to understand. Number one, I'm myself am individually emailing people this PDF ebook, so it can take me 1 to 3 days. If they order it on a Friday, they're going to probably get it Monday, okay? Because I don't work on the weekends. If they order it late at night or they're in Australia or somewhere, I'm on the Pacific Coast. So give it 1 to 3 days. And my email is kimpalm@outlook.com. Please check your spam folder, because I'm having hundreds of people where I send the book and it's going right into their spam. So if you don't get it within 3 days, and also make sure you put the correct email in. I've had literally 20 to 30 people who, when they bought the book, their email in Stripe was not updated. It was some old outdated email, and then I can't send them the book and I have no way of contacting them. So they need to make sure they put their correct email in and give it 1 to 3 days. And if you don't see it within 1 to 3 days, look in your spam folder, because it probably went to spam. So that's really important for people to know.
Was that Kim Palm at
Outlook.com? Yeah.
Okay. And plus, like I said, I've got your website in the description, so you can get the website and get this information. I also put down the link for purchasing the book, which is only $11, right?
It's only $11. I made it as cheap as possible. I need to get something back. And even if I sold 500 of these, it's not going to pay me back for the hundreds of hours I put into writing it. I mean, I'm making like a half penny an hour at the most. You know, I'm not making.
This is what I say myself, Kimberly. I put a lot of time and energy into my work, into getting people like you on board, and putting these videos up on as many platforms as I can. This is a listener-supported channel. Yeah, I think my time is worth something too.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, Gail's time is worth. So you guys should be donating money to Gail, because she doesn't do what I do. Like, I teach classes. I have a energy, and I wanted to talk about this. I have a sound healing workshop I am doing, and it's on my website. My website, spiritualgrowthjourneys.com. And if you go to classes and workshops, I'm teaching a sound healing workshop on Saturday, the 21st. And if you can't be on the live one, there will be a recording, but you're going to learn all about all the different types of sound healing. It's interactive. You're going to be doing exercises and participating. And if you're there live, you can ask me tons of questions. And it's only $77, and you're going to have a lifetime's worth of healing information. You can go heal yourself and heal other people using the sound stuff once you learned about it. So it's important to share.
Okay. Well, I can tell from the look on your face, Kimberly, that you are beginning to be in pain. So
yeah,
we're going to let you go.
My back is my back is not happy right now.
Okay.
It's ouching.
Well, we're going to let you go.
Ouching.
So you can
I've
go
got to
do
get up
whatever
and
you
stretch and do yoga.
Yeah,
I've
there
got
you
to go
go.
do some yoga stuff.
All right. Well, thank you so much for
Anyway.
your time. And it was wonderful having you on. And I
Thank
hope
you,
you
Gail.
get lots of book sales. Thank you. And
Thank you. Thanks, Gail.
just what Yeshua needs the right information out there about him and Mary. So thank you very much. And here we go.
We have found our way. It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are, and like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers, stronger than ever. Never say never. Don't look back now, don't look back now. Rise up, stand with each other. We are sisters and brothers, finding our place and running the race. We'll take our chance and seize the moment. Hold on tight and don't let go of all your hopes and dreams that light the way. We control our fate. Destiny awaits. We are all the actors in the stories we create. Hope will be our guide. We'll no longer hide. When we roll like thunder, feel the wonder from inside. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show